What is going on, everybody? In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the KTM X-Bow GTX, and no, this is actually not in the touring car class. It's actually a hypercar, which is kind of weird because we have not seen a KTM in this class, but I really think this could have been an actual touring vehicle, but it's probably too fast for that matter. But nonetheless, this thing looks pretty crazy, fully carbon fiber. Let's go see if we can customize it. So jumping right into the customization, you guys will notice you cannot change the color or do the livery, which kind of makes sense because the car is literally fully carbon fiber. Anyway, when it comes to the visual parts, you actually can do some stuff to it, which is kind of shocking to me. So this is a KTM, so you will be able to change some of the parts to orange and or how some of them look. Here is the front bumpers right now. Let's take a look at these. Actually put some glass over those, which actually would make sense. Actually looks kind of nice like that. I kind of like the orange on the bottom of the bumper as well there. Nice detail. I can't believe this thing is fully carbon. Look at that. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of digging the headlights actually being covered. I think it does look pretty cool like that. Moving over to the next one, that actually adds a new piece to the bottom of the bumper there by the tow hook. Fully carbon fiber as well. Moving over to the next one, we'll add the pieces over the headlights again. I do really kind of like how that actually looks. Moving over to 7, basically adds the actual orange to the bottom there. Kind of like how that actually looks there as well. And then the final one adds the glass part. So for me, I'm probably just going to add number 4 on here because I really do like having the headlights covered there. Plus, it does look pretty awesome to have the orange going under there because, you know, this is a KTM. So having that orange on the splitter looks pretty awesome. Let's move over to the front fenders. I believe this thing can go wide body, which is actually kind of crazy. It just brings it out a little bit. Nothing too crazy there, it looks like. I don't really see any other detail on the side there besides just basically extending that out. Let's move over to the rims, which I'm not going to be changing because I'm not going to add any of the crew rims on there. So if you guys want to, you have all the other rims that are basically available on all the other vehicles as well. Let's move over to the caliper colors. I'm going to have to go with orange on this because, you know, it'll match the actual splitters there. Here are the skirts here, which look pretty awesome. I'm probably going to go with orange on this one as well. Only 2 options there. Rear fender's just going to extend the back piece out. It's not that I don't really like how that looks. I just don't know if I really want this thing to be wide body, honestly. I mean, the car already looks, you know, kind of insane for that matter. So let's move over to the rear wings. So that actually takes it off completely, which honestly doesn't look that bad. I kind of like how that looks without it as well. Here's the next one. Basically adds the orange on the sides there. That one's actually a little bit smaller, it looks like, unless I'm tripping maybe. Yeah, it's a little bit smaller on the back part of the car there. Looks like it's actually coming out the back as well by the exhaust. That actually doesn't look that bad on there. I kind of like the little wing on there. I'm going to go with this one with the orange. And then moving over to the rear bumpers. What is that actually? Oh, so that basically changes the tail lights there. You can actually see them being red and then going to the like smoked color almost. Moving over to 3. Adds the orange on the back, which looks awesome. I'd probably end up adding that to it. And then the next bumper basically just takes the smoke off the taillights similar to the other one as well. Moving over to number 5, that basically makes it full carbon fiber and actually moves the plate a little bit, it looks like. I don't really see any other differences there. It also changes the exhaust as well. Actually looks pretty awesome. Moving over to the next one, which is number 6. Then we're going to have the other one as well that basically makes it unsmoked there. So I think I'm going to go with number 7 on there. Moving over to the interior. I mean, if you can actually see anything in there for that matter, I might have to go with red on this or just like a regular tan, like dark gray color here. Something like that, honestly, and probably just leave that as is. Then if you guys would like, you can also add some vanity items to it. But for me personally, I'll probably leave these stock. I might add a smoke to it or something like that, like maybe the French one. And then for the exhaust, I'll probably do something like the orange flame looking prismatic thingy, and I'll leave the underglows off. Then we have the window tints, and then finally horns. But besides that, I'm gonna leave this thing completely as is. I'm really digging the orange overall look of this thing with the brake calipers, the orange going around it. It looks amazing. Loving the carbon fiber of this car. Let's go do a top speed run and test this thing out in a race because this could definitely be a new awesome addition to the hypercar class. I have to admit though, overall looks of the GTX really are taking me down a path here. I mean, this car looks absolutely amazing. I really do love the detail of the carbon fiber. The orange going around it just looks absolutely amazing. The interior looks pretty crazy as well. You know, with this being a race car kind of makes sense here. I mean, just look at this. This thing definitely belongs in the touring car class. The fact that we have it in the hypercar class is pretty crazy. Let's listen to it. We can all agree that this car sounds absolutely amazing. I'm really digging the sound of this engine. What's also kind of funny to me is the fact that the vents on the back there look like the car is actually frowning at you. Without further ado, let's go drive this thing now. I want to see what this car can actually get to. So for me, I came over to the highway by Miami because there's really a whole lot of nothing over here. I think this is a good place to test this thing out. Let's see what we can get to. So acceleration seems pretty good. If I had to guess, this car probably doesn't weigh that much just by looking at it. So I'd expect it to be pretty dang fast. Most of the hypercars can also get to around like 250 or so, so I'd expect it to get there pretty easily. Some cars will do obviously over like 260, 270, but they take a little time to get there. Unless we're talking about the Bugattis, which I'm really happy to see. You know, not another Bugatti added to the game. I do like them, but my goodness, I'm happy to see something different. And well, KTM in the hypercar class is pretty awesome. Kind of like the Koenigsegg being added into the touring car class. It's like something we kind of needed. So 268 there. Now I'm going to hit my nitrous on this straightaway here, see what I can get this thing to. If you are wondering, by the way, I am running the Nitro Chemist because without that, you really can't get crazy speeds like this. At least depending on the road you're on, I did notice that as well. So top speed right now, 298 no matter what I do with the nitrous. 299 there as well. Can't really go any faster, so I'd say 298 is going to be your top speed. You'll probably be pushing it a little bit harder with the nitrous, trying to get it farther than that. But 298 miles an hour is pretty insane, and most of the hypercars can do that. I would say that many of the hypercars can probably do around 290 or so. Well, at least some of them anyway. I notice a lot of the cars also struggle to get past 280, so having a car that can do 298 is definitely pretty insane. One thing I do want to mention though is it definitely depends on the road you are on. I was testing out the Carrera Green Flash Edition a little bit. I noticed that car was doing it as well. In some areas it do like 295, and then some areas it do like 298 to 299. So I kind of think it depends on the road that you are actually on. But nonetheless, let's go jump into a race and see how this car actually performs in there. So for the KTM, I figured I would just jump into the Hollywood hypercar race. I feel like this might be the best one to test this car out in and really see what this car can actually do. So overall, I gotta admit one thing though, I am actually really enjoying this vehicle so far with how it actually drives, the overall handling. And I do think it's the only hypercar in the game right now that actually came stock with slicks, unless I'm tripping there. Let me know in the comments below if there's actually more. There probably is, but I really do love how this car is just pretty much sticking to the ground with no issues at all. You could definitely tell it's obviously a race car. I really do like how it actually feels going around turns. It almost feels like it's like eating the ground, and really no issues at all with the stability as well. It's pretty amazing, and the overall speed of the car, I have to say, is actually pretty good. You know, sometimes when new cars are added to the game, I kind of get a little worrisome because I kind of wonder what they can actually do or how they drive, and like, are these cars actually going to have good handling and speed compared to some of the other good hypercars in the game like the Bugattis? And well, we all know every time there's a new Bugatti added, that Bugatti seems to be the new best Bugatti, which is kind of funny. But seeing a car that's not a Bugatti added in the game or a Koenigsegg is pretty cool. I really do like those a lot, do not get me wrong, but seeing something a little different in this class is pretty awesome. And well, the KTM is definitely no exception. I'm a huge fan of KTM in real life with their motorcycles, and well, seeing one of these in the game is pretty cool. This is literally a race car, probably doesn't weigh much of anything, and see it go this fast and all that is pretty cool, and not seeing it in the touring car class is definitely a plus. Overall, I gotta say, this car is definitely worth a look if you guys want something different to race around in the hypercar class. I really don't think you can go wrong with the KTM in any way. I mean, this thing gets up to speed nicely. I was doing 280 just cruising down the highway with it before, so I'd say this car could probably do the long hyper races with no issues. I might test it out on those to see what it can do, but I think this thing can easily complete the New York race without any issues at all. I know some of the other hypercars take a little bit longer, and well, something like this I think will be able to do very good, especially how this thing handles. I do think the handling of this car is definitely going to be better than most of the other hypercars from what I've seen so far, and the speed's kind of like a nice little touch added to it, except for like the Infinity, which definitely does not seem like that great of a car. That was also added recently in the bundle, and that car was just, I feel like it was lacking pretty hard, which by the way, stay tuned for the video of that review coming out tomorrow, by the way. But nonetheless, the KTM is definitely an awesome vehicle to be added, and the Koenigsegg that was in the touring car class is also amazing. I would say the X-Bow is definitely going to be very competitive in summits. I might have to test this thing out in future races and all that show up in the summits. Something like the Bugatti, which obviously owns pretty much everything, which is, you know, understandable. Nonetheless, let me know your thoughts on the KTM X-Bow in the comments below. Are you guys gonna be driving this thing? What are some things you like about it? What are some things you don't? Anyway, here are my settings for this